Let me guess. You are watching this podcast because you are not sure of what is your purpose in life. Maybe you are feeling lost. Maybe you've been trying the past few months to find your purpose or your passion so that you can move on from where you are and to grow further in life, but you are just really stuck. So, I'm someone who was fortunate enough to be able to figure a few of my purposes in life in my early 20s. And that has helped me a lot in navigating my life decisions, whether it's my career decisions or in where I live, for example. So, I want to share with you a little bit of what I've learned or what has helped me in hopes that that would be that little tip that was able to help you to hopefully change your life for the better. So recently, there have been this trend on social media where creators would post maybe videos about nature or from their traveling or from when they spend time with their loved ones. And the caption for this trend is almost forgot that this is the whole point. Almost forgot that this is the whole point. I like this trend. I love it because it's a great reminder that life is truly about whatever purpose it is that you are living for. Very often, especially as we are growing up, a lot of us are stuck in that trap of being in that blueprint for success, right? We were supposed to graduate from university and get a good job, go for a promotion, go for a higher salary, make more money, find a partner, start a family. There's a lot of things that we've been told that we should be doing, or we've been told that that is how success looks like for us. But in the process of doing all of this, have you ever paused and asked yourself, why the fuck am I doing all of this? And if you're someone who was asking yourself, like, what's the point of all of this, and you don't have a clear direction of what's your point yet, you might want to start by asking yourself why. And this is a very easy exercise that you can do right now, even as you are listening to this podcast or immediately after this. So, you want to start by asking yourself why you are doing what you're doing right now. And let me just give you an example. So, maybe the question could be, why are you working so hard in your job? And maybe your answer is to make more money. And then you want to further ask yourself why to the answer that you just gave. So you want to ask yourself, why did I want to make more money? And maybe your answer is so that I can pay off my student loan. Why did you want to pay off your student loan? So that I can live a debt free life before I start my family. Because I don't want to have a family that is struggling financially. So, why did you not want to start a family when you're struggling financially? Maybe that's because growing up, I really struggled financially and I didn't like the childhood that I have. So, the whole point of this exercise is to go why after why after why, like at least 5 times of it, to help you to dig deeper as to the reasons of what is actually going on. Like, this is a very good exercise and it's very easy to go on. And I would say generally reflecting through journaling has always been a great way to discover your thoughts and to understand yourself better. But I also understand that if you're someone who is not used to journaling, you might not know what are some prompts that may guide you well, and you might not be satisfied with the answers that you find. So, here's another tip or exercise that you can do, right? So, we always imagine that finding your purpose would be something that looks like going on a solo trip, going on a pilgrimage, or taking a gap year or a sabbatical to, do some soul searching, right? And through that trip, you'll be able to find your answer, and that will be like a happily ever after. Like that's what we always saw in movie. And to a certain extent, that is the right thing to do. But that's the right thing to do because you set an intention to search for the answer. It's not about the solo trip, it's about the intention going into the trip. Because the intention is to find that answer, you go to these trips in a more open mind because you are looking for signs and you are trying to deeper into your thoughts and your emotions to figure out what exactly is going on in here. And from this reflective like state that you were in, you might be able to find your answer. So it's really about the intention and why you're doing it, not so much about the solo travel itself. Like if you are feeling very lost and you decided that I'm just gonna go on a solo travel and that's gonna solve the problem. Like if you go solo traveling without being open, without actually focusing on finding your answer, you will still come back as lost as ever. You might even be more lost than before, right? So it's really about setting the right intention and being open to looking for this answer. And in fact, that's what I want to share with you, that like finding your purpose, it's something that you can do even right now as you are going through your life. In fact, if your life is very mundane and you are just in a survival mode, this is the perfect time for you to go search for the answer because this is your current reality. And if you are able to just be more open in terms of your mindset, to just stop numbing yourself by scrolling on social media or distracting yourself by binging on Netflix or reading another book or just giving yourself more information, but to really focus on observing what are your thoughts and behaviors around certain things, and to listen to what people are talking to you or the kind of conversations that you are having with the people around you, or even just to be more observant with how you feel around certain things, right? Because as you observe these thoughts, these behaviors, these feelings, these emotions that you have, you are bound to find certain clues whether you like this thing, whether you feel good about these things, or if you feel bad about another thing. Like it's really about the mindset entering your day-to-day life. Like just by being more present, just by being more intentional with your day-to-day life, you should be able to find a better clue on what's your passion or what's your purpose in life. And if you are telling me that, but Wendy, I'm feeling like shit right now, like I'm at my lowest of the low, I have no motivation to find my purpose. Let me tell you, through the lowest of the lows, through the shittiest times in your life, that is when the universe is trying to send you another new message. And I'm saying this from my personal experience. I would say one of like the first purpose that I found in life was in my early 20s when I had depression. Like when I was coming out of depression, I guess. During that period of time, I remember feeling so hollow inside and so dark, like there's no purpose. Like I would get through my day-to-day life. I would go to work, I would go out for meals with my friends, but I know that even though my shell, like my physical body is out there with people, on the inside, I just felt like an empty, hollow soul living aimlessly around the world. Like that was how bad things were for me back then when I had depression. But eventually, as I really just kept an open mind and start observing like what is the point of all these things, one of the realization that I had at that point was that my purpose like is to be the voice for those who were struggling mentally, because I'm someone who was blessed with a good voice and a good communication skill that allows me to be up here on social media, to be a person that's generally quite good in communicating one on one with my friends. And I decided at that point that my calling is to be the voice for those who are struggling, because what else would be the reason someone like me was, I guess, cursed with depression, right? That was like one of the first purpose that I figured. And because of this discovery, it actually helped me to make decisions that would affect the trajectory of my life. Because at that point, I was deciding on moving to Canada. I've already secured my work permit and I was in the process of getting my visa to travel over. But because I discovered this purpose or this calling, I decided that staying in Malaysia would make more sense, because the impact of the work that I do would be bigger, because the awareness on mental health is just lesser here in Asia as compared to North America. And that had helped me navigate through that season of my life. And recently, I actually made a trip back to my hometown, and my intention was to just spend more time with my parents. And I had a few errands to run for my weddings and stuff like that, right? And being back home was able to remind me of the whole point that I'm hustling so hard. Like, I'm literally working hard on weekends and on weekday nights, because one of my financial goals is to be able to retire my parents so that they don't need to worry about money as they get older. Right? I just had this huge fear since a few years ago that my lovely parents would be struggling and to not have enough as, as they lead towards the end of their lives. Because these are the people that has spent their entire life giving me the best that they can. Right? These are the people that sacrifice all that they can because they love me, and to give me the life that I have right now. And it would hurt me so much to know if all the sacrifice that they have would bring them to suffer at the end of their lives. Like, it's just some sort of a fear that I've always had in the past few years. And so that's why I'm hustling so hard, because one of my biggest financial goal is for my parents. It's not even for me, right? But the irony thing about it is that in this hustle of fulfilling this dream for them, I'm actually not spending time with them. I'm actually living apart from them, because living in a city gives me better career opportunities, right? But then what's the whole point? Because what makes them happy is me. What makes them happy is the time with their loved ones, which is me. And I just felt like it's so ironic about this whole thing, about, this whole purpose thingy. And I mean, that's why I wanted to share this today, because finding a purpose does not necessarily mean that it will take you to a better place. Finding your purpose would actually remind you of what's the most important thing. And sometimes it may not be growth, it may be a step back from growth, just so you can treasure what truly matters for you. Like that's something that I discovered this past weekend, and I thought it's pretty wow. Like, maybe the whole point of me, like, doing what I'm doing in life, it's not about me growing and giving my parents a better life, but it's about me just knowing where to spend my time and energy, and the rest will be figured by itself. So yeah, I know this episode is kind of up in the air. I felt like there's no clear structure to it, but I came into this episode with the intention to just open up your mind on how you would be able to find your purpose in life, and hopefully this little conversation helps you to feel less alone in your adulting journey, whether it's the whole clueless part or maybe the whole not knowing what's the point of living part. And I hope I can come back to you with a more concrete episode next one. Goodbye. Thank you so much for tuning in to Small Girl Big Talk, where real conversations meet personal growth. If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to share it on your Instagram stories so that we can reach and help more people in their personal growth journey. You can also support by clicking on the subscribe or follow button and give it a 5-star rating on whatever platform you're listening at. I really appreciate you for staying all the way till the end, and I'll see you in my next one. Goodbye.